Hi, my name is JP Lam, and in this episode of Naruhodo, I'm going to follow up on a previous episode I did about Japanese bowing etiquette. Bowing is deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, and there are quite a few unspoken rules to be followed in order to express the appropriate levels of respect depending on the situation. So let's take a look at a few more tips. In the previous episode, we discussed the nod bow, which is 5 degrees, the eishaku, which is 15 degrees, the keirei, which is 30 degrees, and the side keirei, which is 45 degrees. I also showed you how men are supposed to have their hands at their sides while bowing. Well, for women, while the degrees of bowing are the same as men, their hand position is slightly different. Women should place their hands in front of them, with their palms flat facing inward towards their legs. It's also okay for women to overlap their hands, as long as they are in front. If you didn't grow up in Japan, it can be a bit overwhelming to try to guess which bow is appropriate for various situations. So here are a few tips to take some of the guesswork out of it. Returning bows. When people bow to you, generally you should bow back, with just a few exceptions. You don't need to bow back to people who greet you at stores, restaurants, hotels, etc., because they're getting paid to do so. And you don't need to bow back to a train conductor on the platform who bows when the train departs. Lastly, you don't need to bow back to people who are handing out flyers or tissue packets on the street. Repeat bowing. Repeat bowing usually occurs between two people of similar age or societal status. The rule of thumb here is to start with a deeper bow, and as the bow-off continues, to slightly decrease the depth of your bows each time, so they get shallower and shallower as you slowly back away from one another. And it gradually becomes unclear who was the last one to bow, so the other doesn't have to bow back anymore. Then both sides can feel comfortable to stop. Just don't ever let it be obvious that you were the first one to stop bowing. Societal status and age. People are very conscious of societal status in Japan, and generally the lower ranking individuals should bow deeper to higher ranking individuals. The only thing that trumps this is age. Respecting your elders is of utmost importance, so the younger person should always bow deeper to the older person. Business. In Japanese business, people hand out a lot of business cards. Of course, it's practical for business and contact reasons, but it's also a good way to decipher societal rank by seeing the other person's company position, etc. Regardless, both giver and receiver should use two hands and bow when passing cards. Bowing on the telephone. Japanese people are so inclined to bow that many will unconsciously bow when talking on the telephone, even though no one can see them. If you start doing this, you know you've spent a good amount of time in Japan. But it just goes to show how deeply respect is ingrained into Japanese culture. Well, thanks so much for watching this episode of Naruhodo. I hope you find these bowing tips to be useful. Until next time, I'm JP Lam.